Hello, today I'm going to talk about the game Grav Armor, a game of armored combat on far-flung planets from Dwarfstar Games in 1982. I think the cover art is very well done, and all these Dwarfstar games are very well thought out as well. Back, it gives a little bit of theme. It's a fast-moving game of future armored warfare for two players. I think it can be played solo as well. It realistically simulates the high-speed, high-casualty combat between streaking gravitic vehicles, surface effects craft, supersonic fighters, orbital dropships, and power-suited infantry. For a little more theme in the game rules, in the 31st century, the Lerlem Empire was disintegrating. Ever quarrelsome humans fragmented into many splinter groups, opposed by the still considerable military strength of their empire, while aliens stood clear. A league of successor states formed, and half the spiral arm was aflame with wars on 1,000 worlds. Both sides were evenly matched, so it's meant to simulate the wars between the Imperial and League forces on the different worlds. Included is a couple dice, rule book, 22 pages, some player aid charts, firing table, hit effects table, turn record track, and some bonus attack modifiers. As far as the counters, there's a good amount of counters for a game this size, 154 of them. I've shown them all here. So here's the unique counters. Disrupted units to indicate when infantry are disrupted, game turn marker, city marker, fort. The green are forces that are used in different scenarios, not all of them. The blue and the red forces are the main distribution of forces. The blue are the Imperial, and the red are the League, kind of the rebel kind of forces. So then, other than the turn markers and say fort markers, the individual units that are involved in battle have the format of this is electronic warfare, the attack value. These are the weapon types, the range, the defense value, definition of what the unit is, and movement points. And then there's also white and black units. The white ones are transports that can transport infantry, and the black ones don't. And then as far as the EW, if they're white, they have an enhanced ability. As far as the movement points, the black ones are the Grav type vehicles, and the white are Hoover, and then the yellow indicate infantry. So D and F. D indicates a dropship, and F is a fighter. Defense values. So black colored values have active close defense systems, and white don't. So the map consists of these 6 pieces of cardboard, and they can be moved obviously into different configurations, which of course gives a lot of great replayability. Most games, usually when they, obviously the different colored hexes mean different terrain, and usually games it's said what that is, but this game's different in that in each scenario it has a different definition of what those terrains do, and the terrain affects generally both movement and combat. So for instance, a scenario would have a terrain key that says the amount of movement points for the different types of units, of the yellow, blue, the different colored, and then also the combat value. And it defines what they are. So that gives a lot of, not only do you got a lot of mix of what the board can do, but in each scenario they also they can change up what the different colors mean, so that's really great. Plenty of replayability. Scale. Each unit represents 10 vehicles, or in the case of infantry, 100 infantrymen. A hex is 50 kilometers in distance across, and the entire map of 6 map areas is equivalent to approximately Western Europe. Turn procedures. The moving player moves his units. The firing player may fire at any of the units before, during, or after movement. So a player moves and covers disrupted units, and the other player is the one that fires. And then you roll reverse where the other player moves, and then the other player fires. So it's interesting how that goes. There's several scenarios, and the different scenarios give victory points. Grav unit, the ones with the black movement, use a free flight move. Each hex costs only 1/2 MP to enter regardless of terrain. Exception is the final hex, which needs normal because it's landing. Armaments. So particle beams. Attack value is increased by +1 against all Hoover and infantry. Magnetic bolts, each value is increased by 1 against Grav unit targets. Gatling mounted pulse lasers, attack value is increased by 2 when firing at 1 hex range. Missiles may be fired at multiple targets in the same hex. In scenarios, it's got a lot of neat scenarios, 5 scenarios. And in each scenario then, they talk about the map board configuration, how you organize the various map sections, terrain keys, what the terrain means, and then the forces deployed. And we'll be doing scenario 1, but you see here where the terrain keys, etc. So there's the relief of the 42nd, which is first. There's a star-based raid, which is 2, and they generally go from simpler to complex. A meeting engagement in 3, heavy combat 1 and 4, and death from above in 5. And then we'll get into setup and play. So I'll be doing the first scenario. It's called the relief of the 42nd. Of course, it shows the board layout just using 4 of the sections, as it's shown here. So first you put the city basically in the center, one of the center hexes of the boards, and I've shown that here. And the terrain key, of course, like I said, each of these scenarios are different by the terrain keys, and it shows the movement points you need, and also the combat values. Yellow-orange is plains and farmland, just 1 movement point, no combat value. Blue is lakes and rivers, movement points, combat value of 1. Green, forest, combat movement 2s and 3 for Grav, and combat values of 2. Brown, 3s and 2s, mountains, and the city marker is shown there. The Imperial forces, which are blue and then also green in this case, that player will move in the first phase of each turn. And then the units shown here, and I'll show where these are placed. So first you place the Imperial forces, and then they also have reinforcements that come in the 3rd turn on the east or west edge of the map. Pneumatic League forces are the firing play of the first phase, and they have these forces anywhere beyond the initial range of the Imperial units. Victory is the side which occupies a city at the end of the 9th turn. Aims to draw if the city is unoccupied at the end of the 9th turn. So here's the setup then for the Imperial forces. He said in some cases it's green and go with the Imperial, some cases it's green go with the League, but in this case they're going with the Imperial. And the Imperial deploy anywhere within 3 hexes of the city, including the city if desired. So what I'm going to do is, for their initial forces, I'll put these 2 carriers here, these are stationary units. I'll put them there. There's a Grav unit. This is a hovercraft. You can tell by the movement points. Put them there. And then there's 3 infantry, so I'll put an infantry in each of the carriers. And then I'll also put one in the city. That's them. And then the reinforcements are out here. And these are just disruptor markers I'll use as I go. As far as the Panamatic, again, it's all the forces are shown here. I've just, taken the forces here now. These are 3 carriers here, 3 carriers here, and then I'll put you can each carry 1 unit, so I'll put a infantry on each of the carriers. There's not a stacking limit. They can only carry 1 though. The furthest range is 4 here, and all of these are beyond this 4 from this one. They're all beyond the range. And then I just put the mix of various Grav units here, Grav and Hoover units here, Grav units here, and some Hoover units here. So that's how it's all set up, and then we'll get into play. And I set it on turn 1. So I'll do a playthrough here, starting in right at the beginning. According to the scenario, the Imperial forces move first, and then the other player fires. They will go to more favorable, I guess, terrain. And so the combat factor increases your defense value. So the mountains are, I'm assuming these are mountains. It's a little bit unclear because they look kind of gray to me. The Hoover again. They'll move there since they have 4 movement points. These are stationary units, so they can't move. They'll move out 1 here. And that's kind of where they'll stay. They moved, but they didn't move in range of anything to attack them. If they had moved in the attack range of anything, they would have attacked them, but they didn't. So now the League moves it. Again, according to the terrain marker, yellow-orange is 1, and so the ones with the black can do their Grav movements, which cost half a point to move, but then they use the full to land, but they don't quite need that yet. But they want to start getting in on these forces because they want to, reinforcements are coming in a couple turns, and they want to see what damage they can do here. So we'll start moving in here. These guys, the infantry, will all come off their transport, and they'll kind of stay back here because they don't want to get in range yet. Same with these infantry, come off here. And I think then all these forces will just kind of move in on the perimeter except for the infantry, so let's see what happens. In order for them to be seen, they have to be within their electronic warfare range, and they have to be within their fighting range too. His range is only 2, so he's going to get closer so he can attack next time. And he's a Grav, so he only needs a 1 for yellow-orange, so he'll go half, and then half, and he needs 3 to go on there. So instead he'll go here, and then he's within 2. So just for ease, I'll just move all my ones, and then I'll have the blue fire, since I'm just going to do the firing at the end of motion, since they're just all moving in. This is a Hoover unit, and his range is 3. His range is 2. He'll just move in 1 so we can get in closer next time. His range is 4. And again, these guys aren't firing this time, but they can fire the next time. He'll just start moving in. For right now, the transports will stay back by the infantry. And again, I could do the combat so that each time one moves, the other could fire. But since I'm going to the maximum movement before they fire, I'll just do them all this way. But if they get in their range, the other player can tell them to stop so they can fire in case they, for instance, were moving in their range and then moving out, and they wanted to catch them before they moved out. So His range is 3, so he'll move right within range. So that way he's 3 within him, but he's beyond his 2. And same for him. He'll get within shot of him, but beyond his reach. And same for him. That's what they'll do here. And so these guys will start moving up, and his range is 4, and his is 3, so he wants to take advantage of that. So the reinforcement forces will come in from the east or west, and these guys will want to stay back here in case either side they come in, they have a thing in between them. So now, since that player moved, the other player can fire. And so we'll see what's in range here. To be in range, your electronic warfare has to be able to sense them, and then it has to be within the firing range. So I'll call it and go around this way. Obviously that's within range from both firing and that. To do the attack rolls then, you look at the firing table and you do the attacker looks at the final hit value of the firer's electronic warfare, which is 5, plus the firer's attack, which is 7, so 12. And then if there's a bonus in the firing, he's doing a magnetic bolt versus any grav vehicle, and it's not a grav vehicle, so he doesn't get a bonus in there. It's 12, then minus the target electronic warfare, which is 3, so 9, and then minus the target defense, which is 2, so 7, and minus target terrain, and there's no effect. So it's a 7. And you look on there, roll 2 dice, and that's hit, so it's destroyed. And combat's pretty lethal, so as you can see. So he went, and then he can fire things within a range of 2, which he is. He's got a missile. The firing then, so he's in both his electronic warfare and the attack range, so he's good there. Then we look at the values here. 2 for electronic warfare, 2 for attack, so 4. As far as bonuses, he's firing a missile. Again, we look at this bonus chart here, or bonus graphic. He's doing a missile against a grav vehicle, and there's no bonuses for that. So he's at 4, and then minus the target electronic warfare, which is 4, so he's down to 0. Minus target defense, so now it's minus 4. Minus terrain. He's on orange or yellow, which is no effect. So it's 4, you minus 4, 0. So that's minus 4. And so it's a minus 4. 7, and 7's a miss. Now he'll go. So he's electronic warfare and range is within here, so same. Again, no terrain effects there. So 3 plus 3, 6. And he's doing a Gatling laser versus a grav vehicle, and that doesn't have any bonuses. So 3 plus 3, 6, minus 4, so we're down to 2, minus defense, minus another 4, so now we're down to minus 2, and there's no effect. So he goes to minus 2, and 6, he misses. So let's see what else is in range here. Everything else is beyond 3 here, so he can't fire. He can sense at 4, but his firing range is 3, so he can't hit him. Beyond range there, beyond range here. He's within 3, so he can go with either of these. Neither of them have a bonus on their terrain. And if it's a white on the electronic warfare, then on defense, they get that, you double that for bonus, but he's on the attack, not the defense. So fortunately, the guys he's shooting at don't have a bonus for that. So it's 3 +2. Bonus, he's doing a missile versus a grav vehicle, and there's no bonuses for that. So 3, 2, it's 5 minus 4, so he's down to 1, minus the defense, which is 4. So he's down to -3, no effective terrain. Look at the -3 table. 10. Hit. So that's successful. And then lastly, let's see if he's in range. His EW is in 3, but his firing range is only 2, so we can't hit anything. So that's the end of that turn. And that was just a bit of a sense to get you an idea of how it plays. So that's the Grav Armor from Dwarfstar Games in 1982. It's very well done. It's got like a huge amount of replayability because of all the different maps, and it's neat that it matches up with the theme of there being a bunch of different worlds where these are happening, and so you go and the scenarios you do these different worlds with different configurations. And not only can you change configurations, but the meaning of each of the hexes means something different in each scenario. A bunch of scenarios. I mean, I played it, solitaire, and that worked fine because it's not, at least in the scenario, I didn't see any like hidden movement or anything, so you can do it solitaire, and that's good. I like the look of the components. We give it an 8, but highly recommended Grav Armor by Dwarfstar Games. Thanks a lot.